My name is Finance. I was born during the Dark Ages. My mother, savings, taught me to look beyond the present and store value for the future. My father, investment, encouraged me to find opportunities to grow that value, to shape a future better than the past. I became a farmer, and gold was my seed. I planted the first banks that charged interest-bearing loans. For this, I was called a usurer, but not by the owners of the businesses that flowered from my investment. I cultivated the first insurance companies that protected the ships in the age of exploration. For this, I was called a parasite, but not by the visionaries who for the first time connected the whole world through international trade. As my investments paid off, I created wealth. Instead of hoarding it, I invested it in new technologies that launched the Industrial Revolution. For this, I was called a bloodsucker, but not by those who escaped subsistence farming to cities where they earned wealth that they could store and invest in my banks. For centuries, feudalism had slandered me. He ruled, hoarded resources, rigged the system so that he stayed rich and powerful in his high castle, while humanity languished in poverty and war. With my lover, Capitalism, we vanquished feudalism by democratizing wealth. We ushered in an age of saving and investment and revealed a future of skyscrapers, planes, and rockets. Feudalism was dead, but out of his corpse crawled something even worse: power lust. At first, she was a tiny, starving creature, but as wealth grew, so did envy, who nursed and shaped her into a monster. Power lust didn't want to return to the medieval corpse. She wanted to control the empire of wealth that capitalism and I were creating. In the industrial era, capitalism and I raised investors the world over. As our children financed Standard Oil, Carnegie Steel, and Ford Motor Company, power lust inspired intellectuals like Karl Marx and John Maynard Keynes to demonize them, and called for government takeover of my institutions in the name of equity and fairness. Where I created banks, power lust wrapped her tentacles around them in the name of regulation. The SEC, the FTC, the FDIC, and worst of all, the Federal Reserve. When her meddling with the money supply caused the Great Depression, she blamed me and sought yet more power and control for herself. By the 1970s, she stole my seeds of gold and unhooked the dollar from any tangible value. Like feudalism, she created wars as distractions and offered social programs as meager alms to hide her true intent: total control. Without gold, there was nothing left to restrain her from endless printing of money and endless looting of people's wealth. Worst of all, power lust not only co-opted institutions and stole wealth, she sucked the self-esteem out of my children. The bankers and investors of today believe they are evil and must be ruled for their own good. One woman saw through this. Her name is Ayn Rand. In her novel Atlas Shrugged, she created Midas Mulligan, a heroic financier whose investments birthed industries. But when the courts tried to force him to invest his wealth in worthless enterprises, he withdrew his wealth and, well, you have to read the book. In the real world, power lust reigns in a stronghold greater than any feudal fortress: Washington, D.C. There, she bails out her friends at the expense of the taxpayers. She bans insider trading, but not for her cronies in Congress. She regulates banks and hedge funds, but who regulates her unaccountable agencies? Can the institutions I crafted be saved? I don't know. But I was born in a dark time, and if I grew one renaissance, I can grow another. With Bitcoin, commodity-backed currencies, even currency backed by gold, we can create a future better than our past. But first, you must recognize the real parasite. Not capitalism, nor finance, but the wealth-sucking system of government control and monetary manipulation that power lust has spawned. She needs you, your wealth, and most of all, your willingness to be ruled. But with savings, investment, and sound money, you do not need her.